take a break and walk out. Otherwise, again, because there's only so much time, and unless some of you want to cancel your flights and delay, then we're going to have to keep moving. So we're just going to keep things moving. So whoever's next will come up. Next person be ready to go. So we keep things moving. So next up, we have Leslie, who's going to talk about programs and fun activities. And by the way, if you didn't know, I've got a timer in the back here. It's got your time on it. So.
Oh, we're -9 already.
Charlene. Instead of me doing this? Charlene. No, I think it's not. We have one speaker that is notorious for yeah, we're going to five. Right.
You were right here.
Okay, I'm from District 5630, and I'm going to be talking to you about our programs and fun that we have at RILA. So because I think pictures can give 1,000 words, and since I'm talking to your children. So we start off today, and a lot of you're going to find similarities from what we do. So I'm just here to share that, and then we're going to have some conversation about that. Okay. So we start today with a pledging allegiance, and then an inspirational moment, and it might be 3 minutes. Okay. And then we introduce the 4-way test day 1. And everything that we do from day 1 to the end is centered around 4-way test. So every day we have, is it the truth? So that would be the next day. And each day we have the senior counselors will give a senior moment. And it's not a senior moment like that. I have a couple of those every day, but a senior moment would be like Herb here is sharing something that was so meaningful to him that made an impact on him about telling the truth. There were a situation where he was challenged, do I tell the truth or do I fudge a little bit? Something that was challenging in that. And then he talks about why it was so important and what it meant to him to actually have told the truth when he was so challenged. Well, do I do or do I not? And so it makes an impact on the kids when they hear that we as adults are challenged at times too, and we can tell them why it was so important that we stuck to that one of the 4-way tests. Okay? Our speakers, we work very hard to have the speakers, again, their talk is going to be tied in with one of the 4-way tests, whichever one it is on that day. After each talk or activity that we have them break out into their teams, and they will talk about that. Well, why was that so important? What did they get out of the speaker? What was important about it? And was it of value to them? So we asked them for that input. And we do have the partnership with senior and junior counselor, and so the senior counselor just is kind of there in the background. You've heard that. That's the way we found it works pretty good. The skits, absolutely amazing. They to watch them practice from day 1 to start developing their skits or their talent. So they either have to do a talent or a skit, and it's just amazing the creativity that they come out. And sometimes they mimic or make fun of the senior counselors or junior counselors. It's all fun. It's great.
Yeah. Do you give them a theme for their skit?
No. They take that on themselves and they tie it in. It's amazing. They tie it in to what they're learning at RILA. Almost always they do. And it's just totally amazing.
Do you bring props?
Yes, there are props. There's a room back there that has all kinds of costumes and stuff like that. Yeah. One of the activities that we have, this has turned out to be pretty amazing for them, is we have an etiquette dinner. And it teaches, we start with a social hour, and then we go into dinner. And this man here teaches that. We all can use that. Because what work do we do? There's 3/4 of the young people. How do you put your napkin in your lap? What do you do with that napkin if you have to walk away from the table? Or when you come to a table like this and you're expecting, well, do you sit down right away or do you wait for others to join you? Well, he'll tell you, it depends. So he teaches all of that, and it's very impactful. It's actually was really good for us older ones that may have forgotten some of those things. So it's a good refresher course. And this is stuff that they learn. So then, is it fair to all concerned? Is the next day, some of the decision making that goes into, here they're trying to decide who gets to go first. Yep. And they're building on one another. Again, decision making, and is it fair to all concerned? Here, they're given a project, they're given a few little, 4 items in a little baggie, and they're to create something with it. They can create anything that they want. They have to tell about, well, what impact is this going to have in society? What's the purpose of it, and how is it going to impact our lives? That's amazing what these kids come up with the simplest little things that you can put in a baggie. Oops, I went the wrong way. We did the egg drop and the learning from that. You experienced that yourselves last night. But the working with the team, working together in that decision-making process again. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? We have the highs and lows, the ropes and climbing wall, and watch these kids. They're scared to death to climb that wall. And this young lady in particular didn't want to go up that wall, but she had the encouragement of her teammates, and she made it up. She actually made it to the top, only because she got the encouragement from her teammates. So it's incredible to watch that go through. And then, of course, the zip line. I myself, stepping off that platform is scary.
But Eric has the record for standing up there the longest before he took off.
I'm right behind you on that timeline on that one. In fact, this last time, I actually had to sit down and scoot off. I just couldn't step off. So the Olympics, again, they learn to do things by a team, and it's not always about winning or losing. It's actually just truly is how you win or play the game. And they learn that, yeah, is that fair on some of it? They work that all out. This year that we did, this was in 2012, it was over 100 degrees the whole week, I think. And it was so very hot. So we had a slip and slide, we had a balloon fight, and it was just really amazing. But it's all in the learning of the 4-way test and what's important in life. This is teams preparing for their skits or whatever they're doing, again, working together. And this is a great picture, I think, because they really come together as a team in celebrating their whatever their accomplishments is. Here they're listening very intently to speakers. I'm going to flip through here. Group activity. No pictures on this one. Group activity. There's pros and cons to having this group activity, but I have experienced that it is the most phenomenal experience that I've with these kids. The group activity, the kids can bring we're in this big room, ballroom, and it's all empty, no chairs or anything. They bring their blankets, their pillows, anything they want to be comfortable in, and they sit on the floor. We have the lights dimmed, not down, and this is led by the head counselors. So head counselors will be like 2 years out of RILA. They're usually college students. And they start asking questions, and they're pretty broad in nature to begin with. One might be, well, did you ever cheat on a test? And so they ask, well, if you cheat on a test, please stand. So if anybody wants to speak to that, so we might have 10 kids, yeah, I cheated. And then they might talk about that experience. Then they're just various questions. Do you have any of you had divorce in your family? They stand up. If anybody wants to speak to that, they speak to it. They don't want to speak, that's fine. Anyone have experienced homosexuality in your family, your friend, or whatever? They stand up and they can speak to that. And it's a trust-building thing. You can imagine, with questions like that, it's pretty incredible, and the trust level that goes on with those kids. I have experienced the dynamics that change from that day, earlier in the day, to the end of the day and going forward to the rest of the camp. Totally amazing. One year we had 3 gentlemen that were, they were homosexuals. And 2 of them stood up and said that. They exposed themselves to that. It was incredible. I was concerned for those 2. And what happened the next day, I thought these guys would be chastised or ostracized by the other guys. They were not. They bonded so much more with both the girls and the guys. I was astounded by that. And that's the culture that they live in. And it's just totally amazing. The love and just the bonding that takes place is just incredible. Here they're learning to do some canoeing. Oops.
The walkers upside down.
Yeah. Actually, he went in that way. Yep. Through here. Service projects. We, at our camp, we have the nice ability to do service projects. There's lots of opportunity. This past year, we took on there's a trail. It's about 3 miles, and part of it needed to be cleared away, so we cleared away. And also, when we first took the trail, there was no markings on it, so we didn't know how far we had to go. We thought it was like 1.5 miles, it ended up being 3 miles. And so we decided to mark that. So we marked every quarter of a mile. We got a half of the trail marked last year. We're going to continue that, developing that trail. And the 4-H camp is very appreciative of our efforts on that. We'd like someday maybe to have a water station midway. We don't have that right now, but so this is just, again, at the end of every night, the teams come together and they debrief. They talk about what they did, why they did it, and what they get out of it. Okay? And the staff gets together as well and does some debriefing so that we can correct things maybe the next day, or make a note and to do things differently the next time that we do it. And then these are pictures of the last day. Just a lot of happy campers that
Yeah.
they go away and they, oh, this one's not for you. They go away with lifetime friendships that they connect with. I talk with the kids, the junior counselors, senior counselors. They're still making connections years later from their RILA experience. So that's our experience at camp. And there's so much, I could talk for so long about it, but that's enough about our camp. I'm going to open it up for conversation of what kind of things do you do differently than this, more than the similarities?
Well, one thing that mine does is, that I really haven't heard, and they're not getting real specifics, but our kids are broken down into 7 different groups, and then I know you guys have all talked about small groups, but ours are very specific in nature. So one is creative athletics, one is media, one is a graduation project, one is Broadway, newspaper, band, chorus, and engineering. And they have a specific task, like the engineering group has to create something that flies, and they have time each day to work in those groups. And then at the end of the week, they present to the rest of the group what they've created. If they have to create creative athletics, they have to come up with a unique game that has certain criteria, and everybody has to play it. The Broadway group puts together a 10-minute play that they all, help create, and they put that on one night. So that's ours. You guys all talk about small group things. that's what we do differently, I think.
Interesting, yeah, that is very
We
interesting.
did that in 7490 and called those our action groups, which the CITs were in charge of, as opposed to
Our junior
our
counselors are in charge
counselors.
of them.
So it was kind of nice, it gave them ownership over something. And it was a different grouping throughout the day for that hour, hour and a half. They were working with other people that weren't in their small group, and they were working on either something that they knew was one of their strengths, or they were going out and challenging themselves. For instance, we had the public speaking action group. So we encouraged them to join it if they weren't comfortable with public speaking, or if they felt like they weren't good at it. We worked on public speaking skills. So it was nice, and then every one of those had some sort of takeaway. The week book group made their yearbook for the week, and that was their takeaway product, and every kid got one at the end.
So how did you put those kids, those engineers, so to speak, on that group?
On the application, there, we list all 7 of the groups, and we ask them to rate them 1 to 4. I'm a musician. I would most be interested in being in band and chorus. And then drama would be my next choice, and so on. And then we have to take those and then go back to what school they're in. Do they know what club they were responded from? And that's another way we separate them out. And they may get their first choice, they may not. They may just wind up, getting where we have to stick them. But for the most part, we try to put them in what they're interested in. But then for every other activity, then they get counted off. And you're in another group for this activity. You're in another group for this, so they're constantly revolving, but that's their core group. Like you guys have talked about your small groups. This is their small groups.
Anyone else?
We do stickers on the name tag, not on the plastic part, but on the actual name tag, so it can't peel off so easy. For several of the activities I mentioned, we mix up the groups, and so when we're mixing them up, we use stickers, so then we make sure that they're not in their same small group teams, and they do get a chance to meet other people. And we know, just like, look for the buzz, go find your bug group for this activity or something like that, and the sticker is.
At 7490, we focused on them working with their small groups all throughout the week, and then also working with their action groups, but that's just a different kind of small group. At the end of the week, we have them go into their final challenge, and we called it the Quagmire, and they're all on their own island, and they have to go around the circle and get back to the island to their left, but they're going right around it. And they have a certain number of tiles to use, and the counselors are real sticklers and take away the tiles if their feet touch the floor, because that's, the Quagmire, and you sink or whatever, and you have to go back to your island as a team. And they think at first it's a competition, and then they finally realize that we've calculated so that they cannot do it as individual teams. They have to do it working together. And you're not allowed to leave your island or nobody can come onto your island until all your team has left. And they finally realize that they have to work together as a whole RILA. And that's one of our big culminating activities. It's really cool. They get so mad. It's great.
You had directions on that?
I do have directions.
Supplies?
I do. It's all online, but I can get it.
That'd be great. Anyone else?
I'll throw out one, for another district. When I went to Rocky Mountain Rally, there's a couple things I saw that were really cool. The first one was they hike up a mountain. I'd never hiked up a mountain before. And there was 3 options. There was I shouldn't steal your thunder. You want to talk about that, Kurt? Why
Sure.
you guys do that?
We've got Eagle Cliff, which is about 95% of the people do, and it's about 1,000 feet elevation gain, starting at about 9,000 feet, going up to 10,000. And it's fairly steep and a crappy trail. Cactus everywhere, so.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, when they get to the top, there's some people are lagging behind, and so the people up on top are cheering them. At the top, and it's Long's Peak and the whole Continental Divide and Rocky Mountain National Park behind them, and it's unbelievably beautiful. Some of the kids from the inner city that had never done anything like that are just tears streaming down their face. So it's a great bonding experience. There's an easier hike up Bible Point that is about half as difficult as that, and so most people will opt for that. And for the kids that physically can't do either of those, we take them for a walk.
That hike also is early in the morning,
It's
so when you get up there on top, you get to watch the sun come up. That's awesome.
Yeah, and we do that on a Thursday morning, we get them up and you watch the sunrise and we do it in complete silence. They do it at our Young Rather, still do it at Young Rather, right guys? So the middle school too, so you get to watch the sunset, sunrise in absolute silence for a good 45 minutes. So anyway, the hike's great. We do half the camp because it's 240 kids. We do 120 one day and 120 the next day. And while they're doing it, we play volleyball and have something called Ryla Ball where they actually negotiate the rules and play a game based upon the number of different balls and things that they've got. And they negotiate the rules. And so you get some really goofy games. But we'll probably be talking more about that tomorrow.
And the reason I asked him to talk about that is, I was so inspired by that. We decided our own mountains in Nebraska are the little mounds of sand and dirt. And so we took the kids on a 3-mile hike. And I'll tell you, the first year we did it was a learning experience for us all. We had a kid that actually, we made some changes the second year, but we had a kid that got heat stroke halfway through. And this was our first time doing it. But what we found is that it's just very challenging for those kids to do that. A lot of them, they think 3 miles, that's a long way for them to hike. And they walk from the forest all the way up to an observation tower where you can see the entire national forest in the area we're in. It's the largest man-made forest in the world, I think.
Yes.
And so you get to see all the trees. It's just amazing. Then we have breakfast right there at the observation tower, and so it's really cool. And for us, it's really getting those teams to push each other and challenge each other and say, you can do it, you can go, and not leaving a teammate behind. So it's a very interesting activity, and I would encourage each of you to come up with something that really pushes your campers.
Yeah, it really, really makes them think that I can actually do something I didn't think I could do.
Anyone else?
One other activity that I know, I'll talk a little bit about it tomorrow, but probably not a whole lot. One of the things that we do that's pretty unique is we have a canvas labyrinth. And the last
I saw that on one of your slides, yes.
And so we've been doing it about 10 years, and it's extremely powerful. We did it last night, and it's very powerful. And this year, we just purchased a second labyrinth as we went up to 100 kids, and we need to get done in a couple of hours. But it's an extremely powerful activity, and it gives them their quiet time that last night to really reflect on what they've learned for the week.
Cool. I saw that on your slide.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
This is
Yes.
kind of, it's the opposite of quiet time, but it's a new activity for us this year. We try to tie in the Rotary theme. We try to every year, so with the Rotary theme next year, that our camp is in the end of July with Light Up Rotary. So our theme for Ryla this year is Light Up Youth. And what we know is really popular nowadays is glow runs and everything glow in the dark. It's really, and again, we talk to teenagers, say, hey, what's trendy right now? Not just what do we think is fun. So this Saturday evening, which is our last evening of the camp, we've always done something different. Usually it's been in a gymnasium, just having fun and having some music. We're doing a glow party outside, so it's a lot of stuff will be spray painted with glow-in-the-dark paint, glow sticks, there'll be a DJ. The shirts that we do will be the neon colors, so they'll light up with the black lights. But the whole thing is to have fun with what the kids enjoy, but at the same time tying in with the Rotary theme of making the whole thing light up youth.
That's cool.
Yes.
One of the new activities we've incorporated in the last 3 years is called a Hunger Banquet. And I don't know if anyone's familiar with it, but it's run by Oxfam. They created it. And so basically there are these cards, and there's a certain percentage. It's based on 100 people, and there's a certain percentage for the rich, middle, and poor class. And so as the campers come in, they get handed a card, and on that card it says my name is, Paul, and I'm from Ecuador, and I have 4 kids, and I, struggle each day to find food. So it has a little story about their character's life, the one that they got, that was chosen for them. And so they walk around and walk through this gallery of photos of starving people and stuff, and it's this dramatic thing. And then they sit down, so the poor people sit on the floor, the middle class sit in chairs, and then the rich get to sit at this big banquet table. And it's during our lunch hour, so they don't know that, they have no clue that any of this is going to go on. And the poor are served they get served an order of